Hello, my friends. I am Adam, and this is Language Arts with Adam. Long time no see for a lot of you there. As you can guess, I've been pretty busy developing collaborative learning notes, the learning software I've been working on for quite a while. And because of the virus, and by the way, I hope all of you are staying healthy. Well, the virus has made online learning really important. So I've been working really hard on that project. Haven't had a lot of time, but I really want to make more time to keep learning and hopefully to inspire all of you to keep learning. I'm 35 years old now. I'm actually engaged to get married to the love of my life, a wonderful, wonderful girl that some of you have maybe seen on this channel before. And as you also might know from some of the previous videos, she is from China. And Chinese is one of the languages that I learned a long time ago. And again, as some of you might know, I speak Japanese and Korean, but my Chinese is getting a little bit weak these days because I haven't practiced it. And, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm going to start a series on this channel of me learning Chinese, hopefully so you guys can see that even at 35 years old or older or younger, whatever it is, that you can still learn a language. Now, this time though, I'm learning a language in a different way than I usually do. I learned most of my languages by memorizing lists of vocabulary, and it's not really effective, to be honest. You don't have any context. It's really difficult to remember the grammar and the vocabulary. So I'm going to be playing with something called memory palaces. Now, memory palaces, or position of loci memorization techniques, is when you take a place, whether it's a real place or a fake place, and you associate it with some words to create sort of an artificial context to help you remember. Now, for Chinese, it's very difficult because you need to remember the different Chinese characters, you need to remember the pronunciations of them, and you need to remember the meanings. And this is a lot more difficult than, for example, if you're learning a language with a limited alphabet or character system like English, any of the Romantic languages like French, or maybe perhaps even doing some of the even Korean, actually, because Korean has a system where you can memorize the vocabulary and memorize the writing system quite easily. So I'm going to be using this memory palace system, and as you can see here in the video behind me, I'm running around in a game called Final Fantasy XIV. I enjoy playing games once in a while, and one thing that I wanted to try is to see if I could use a game as a memory palace. Lots of people use real places for memory palaces, and I'm going to try to use a game. And from what I've tried, it's very effective. I've been able to look at a new vocabulary word even just one time, and then after that I was able to remember the word because of the stories I made within that game context in my memory palace. So I'm going to be experimenting with this. I'll be trying to release a video every day. I'm going to do it little by little, maybe 2, 3, 4 words every day. And each day I'll try to make a story, and I'll tell you guys how I remembered the words. And hopefully you guys will be able to take away from this and learn something. Maybe you can use it to learn another language, or if you want to learn Chinese with me, you're more than welcome. I plan on doing some videos with some of you guys and some other YouTubers in the future where I'll be doing some language exchange and studying some more Chinese, basically. So here, what you see now is sort of how I approach this system and how I'm going to use this memorization system. So in Mandarin Chinese, or in lots of different dialects of Chinese, not all of them, mind you, there are 4 main tones and 1 neutral tone. And as you can see here, for the first tone, because it's a high tone, I am associating it with a big character. So the first tone is ah, and I'm associating it with Donkey Kong because he's a huge guy. I just imagine that just makes sense. The second tone, you see here I'm using Pikachu because I always imagine Pikachu flying up to the sky or Pikachu shooting his lightning from the sky. So Pikachu represents the second tone, which is ah. And the third tone is the Moogle, which is a character from Final Fantasy. They're very tricky. They like to play pranks and make jokes and things like that. So I'm using that one for the third tone that goes down and up, being a little bit more like ah. And the last main tone there, the fourth tone, I used the Japanese character Rirakuma because, for me, him lying down and sleeping is very symbolic of what he is, and that's why I chose him. So the last one is ah. Now, there's also a neutral tone in Mandarin, which doesn't really have any sort of tone. It's just the sound by itself. So for that one, I'm using Kirby, just because in many ways Kirby, he's neutral in a way. He can become a lot of different things, but he's sort of a neutral character. So I'm using him for that. And really, if you're doing this system by yourself, you can use any kind of characters you want to help you remember different sounds. I'm doing this specifically with Chinese because Chinese has this extra element, the tone. Now, that's in addition to all these other things I'm about to talk about. So you see here I have orange text, and orange text is the meaning of a Chinese word or the Chinese character. The red is the pronunciation, and purple are little hints that I give myself to try to construct the character, because I want to be able to write the character, not just read it. And I've actually learned Mandarin in a very traditional way. I've taken classes and stuff before as well when I was young, and I found that I got really frustrated by not knowing the characters. So that's why I'm kind of approaching this, looking at the characters, trying to put together sort of a Chinese alphabet, even though there really isn't one. I'm going to try to put together as many basic characters as I can and memorize them so that when I go on to learn other stuff later, I can easily piece together words, because all of the words are combinations of these characters put together. And it makes it a lot easier for me to memorize if I do it this way. Now, an example I gave here is actually from one of my pages that you'll see here, and I'll just kind of scroll through here, and you can see that these pages actually depict a journey that I'm taking through a city in Final Fantasy XIV called Limsa Lominsa. And I'm going to be going through this city in this activity here where I'm memorizing and making my memory palace, because I'm making my memory palace of this journey, of little snapshots inside of this city. And that's how I'm going to remember these characters, by remembering each word and each character in a different specific place, so that I can walk through this entire city and hopefully be able to remember all of these characters. So here's an example. The first one we have Bei, and Bei is a cup, as you can see here. It says, a cup filled with Donkey Kong's crispy cooked bacon. So you see here we have the meaning in orange, cup, and the sound, Bei, as in a bacon. And we know it's first tone because it's Donkey Kong. And it says, and that was his lunch, falls out of the shaken tree's branches and is eaten by a passing person. No, screams Donkey Kong, don't touch my bacon or I'll kill you. Now you see this is a pretty extreme example, but the more extreme and more crazy you make examples for this memory palace activity, or for any memorization, the easier it is for you to remember. So you can see here the tree and no, because if you can see the characters, and if you follow along with me, you'll learn about these characters. You see the first character is the character for tree, and the second character is the character for no. And that's what makes cup. So cup is not a tree in Mandarin. And this really helps me remember the characters. So this is how I'm going to proceed with this. I'm going to be trying to do this, again, every day, little by little. Hopefully I can inspire you guys to just little by little try to learn a language. And we'll see what happens. At the end of the month, I'll finish the first season. So I'll try to do one season every month. And every month I can take a look back and we'll talk about how things went. Maybe we can talk with some of you guys as well. And we'll see where this goes. And hopefully we can take this through a year, a couple of years, and hopefully by the end of it, I will have a decent understanding of Mandarin Chinese. And then who knows, maybe after that we can go on to another thing like expanding on my Japanese or Korean, or maybe even trying another language altogether. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you all on this journey I'm about to embark upon. And as always, learn smarter, not harder. Bye-bye.